Silas and Thorne, Cartographic Mysteries. What if the deadliest weapon wasn't a gun, but a map? Think about that for a moment. We live in a world that trusts its maps. We trust them to tell us where the road turns, where the property line falls, where the shore meets the sea. But what happens when someone moves the line? Not with a shovel, with ink. Not with force, with geometry. Welcome to Silas and Thorne, Cartographic Mysteries, a critically acclaimed cozy mystery series where the crimes aren't solved with fingerprints and forensics. They're solved with compasses, survey chains, and the careful art of observation. My name is Robert Walker, and I'd like to take you on a journey, a traverse if you will, into a world where the most dangerous thing a man can do is draw an accurate map. The crime is a crime of geometry, not of violence, of displacement, the distance between a lie and the truth, and you cannot see it from the deck of a ship. That line captures everything this series is about. In these books, the murders aren't committed with knives in dark alleys. They're committed by rotating a town's founding survey 15 degrees off true north, by shifting harbor buoys 40 yards to the left so ships wreck on rocks that should have been avoidable, by creating 800 acres of phantom land on county records, land that exists on paper but belongs to no one. These are crimes of geometry, intellectual, satisfying puzzles that reward the reader who pays attention. There is no graphic gore, no gratuitous violence. The thrill comes from the logic, the motive, and the devastating realization of how a single pen stroke on a map can ruin lives, steal fortunes, and cover up murder. Every crime in this series is unraveled using actual 19th century surveying mechanics and probability. The tools are real, the math is real, and the danger is very, very real. At the heart of this series are two men who see the world in fundamentally different ways, and who need each other far more than either will admit. Silas Thorne is the surveyor. He measures the physical ground beneath his feet. He seeks absolute truth, the kind you can prove with a theodolite and a plumb line. He is unyielding, precise, and armed with mathematics. To Silas, the world is a problem that can be solved if you just hold the instrument steady enough. And then there's Linus. Linus is the gambler. He doesn't measure dirt and stone, he measures people. He reads the social landscape the way Silas reads a contour map. He calculates human probability. He's observant, diplomatic, and armed with something Silas will never possess: an intimate understanding of human flaws. Where Silas sees angles, Linus sees tells. Where Silas demands proof, Linus plays the odds. Together they form a partnership that is greater than the sum of its parts. A surveyor who can find any lie drawn on a map, and a gambler who can find any liar hiding behind it. We do what the land does. We tell the truth about what's here, even when someone has drawn a map that says otherwise. Silas Thorne is a licensed surveyor mapping the American frontier. In an era when land is power, when a property boundary can mean the difference between wealth and ruin, Silas is the man people call to settle the question. And he always settles it honestly, even when the honest answer makes powerful people very uncomfortable. He trusts numbers, angles, and celestial mechanics over human testimony. A witness can lie. A star chart cannot. A confession can be coerced. A triangulation point is immovable. But Silas carries something heavier than his chain in transit. 20 years ago, his father, Silas Thorne, one of the finest surveyors the frontier had ever produced, disappeared. Vanished while drafting something called the Ghost Plate, a map so dangerous it could never be published. That disappearance is the wound that drives Silas forward, case after case, coordinate after coordinate, searching for what his father found and what it cost him. I am calculating without sufficient data, which is the definition of gambling, which is the profession I practiced for 7 years before rebranding it as consultation. If Silas is the compass, Linus is the card table. He doesn't just observe people, he audits them. He keeps what he calls the ledger of voices, a mental accounting of who spoke to whom, who owes debts, and, most crucially, who holds the silence. Because in a frontier town hiding a secret, silence is the most expensive currency of all. Linus uses his card formations, physically laying out playing cards in patterns, to externalize and solve complex criminal variables. It's his version of Silas's survey plat. Where Silas pins coordinates on a map, Linus pins suspects on a card spread. Kings for the powerful, jacks for the hustlers, and the ace? The ace is always the unknown, the variable no one accounted for. He is the perfect diplomatic shield for Silas's blunt honesty. Where Silas will tell a man his land claim is fraudulent and watch the room catch fire, Linus would have already positioned himself between Silas and the door, with 3 escape routes memorized and a distraction in his pocket. 20 years ago, Silas Thorne disappeared while drafting the Ghost Plate, a map too dangerous to be published. No one knows exactly what the Ghost Plate contains. Some say it reveals fraudulent land grants that underpin entire counties. Others believe it maps something the government itself buried. Boundary errors so catastrophic that correcting them would redraw state lines. All anyone knows for certain is that Elias vanished before he could complete it, and the pieces didn't vanish with him. Now, Silas and Linus are finding Elias's brass survey markers hidden across the frontier. Each case they solve doesn't just bring justice to the present, it unlocks the next coordinate in Elias's 20-year-old traverse. The Ghost Plate is being reassembled, one brass cap at a time. Missing and dead are different measurements. That's what Silas says whenever someone tells him to let his father go. Because in surveying, a missing benchmark doesn't mean it was destroyed. It means you haven't found it yet. Each novel in this series is a standalone puzzle, a complete mystery you can pick up and enjoy on its own. But each one also unlocks the next coordinate. Each one brings Silas one step closer to the truth his father died or disappeared trying to tell. The first case takes us to Promise Creek, a gold rush boomtown nestled in the Sierra Nevada, where the main street curves for no reason anyone can explain. Except Silas can explain it. The town's founding survey was deliberately rotated 15 degrees clockwise from true north. Every building, every lot line, every claim, all of it built on a map that was intentionally wrong. And this isn't a mistake. This is architecture. Someone designed Promise Creek to lie. Why? Because this cartographic deception hides a fortune. It shifts the California-Nevada state line just enough to place certain mining claims under different jurisdiction. And it protects the identity of a killer. This is the Latitude of Lies, the book that introduces Silas and Linus, establishes their partnership, and sets the tone for the entire series. A locked-room mystery built on an open landscape. A murder that can only be solved by proving that an entire town was built on a foundation of geometric fraud. Here's the crime that starts it all. A man is found murdered inside a bolted office. Doors locked from the inside. Windows sealed. By every measure, no one could have gotten in or out. A classic locked room. The kind of puzzle that has captivated mystery readers for generations. But Silas doesn't look at the doors. He looks at the walls. He measures the exterior of the building, 18 feet. Then he measures the interior, 12 feet. That's a 6-foot structural void hidden between the walls. A void that doesn't appear on any building plan. A void that shouldn't exist in a frontier assayer's office. And then there's the geologic tell. The victim choked on a smooth, river-worn gold nugget. But Promise Creek is a hard rock mining town. They pulled jagged, deep quartz gold from the mountain. River-worn gold doesn't belong here, which means someone brought it, and that someone knew exactly how to use a nugget as both a murder weapon and a message. The hook? How do you prove a whole town is built on a lie when the man who drew the map is the victim? The second case pulls Silas and Linus to the California coast, to Sentinel Point, a village on the Mendocino shore. A place perpetually wrapped in fog, where the entire economy runs on one grim industry, the salvage of wrecked ships. The anomaly this time isn't on land, it's in the water. Harbor buoys have been deliberately displaced by exactly 40 yards laterally. Not approximately, exactly. Someone with surveying knowledge repositioned them with precision. And the deception doesn't stop there. The local tide tables have been falsified by 8 to 14 inches, just enough to change when and where a ship's keel meets rock. A perfectly engineered harbor trap. 12 ships wrecked, 6 sailors killed. All of it disguised as natural disaster. Bad luck, bad fog, bad tides. But Silas can see through the fog because he doesn't trust what the map says. He trusts what the stars say. And the stars don't agree with those buoys. This is a case where the ocean itself has been weaponized through cartography. The murder in Sentinel Point begins with what looks like a suicide. A lighthouse keeper found hanging from a beam. Case closed, the locals say. The man was troubled. The fog gets to people. But Silas sees one detail that unravels everything. The rope was tied using a field surveyor's hitch, a knot that no sailor would ever use. A sailor ties a bowline, a cleat hitch, a clove hitch. The surveyor ties a surveyor's hitch. That single knot tells Silas this was no suicide. Someone from his own profession killed this man. Meanwhile, Linus audits the social fabric of the entire village and discovers something remarkable. Absolute coordinated silence. Every man, woman, and child in Sentinel Point knows about the buoys. They know the wrecks aren't accidents, and they say nothing, because the salvage income keeps them all alive. The hook that drives this story to its climax, a deadly race against time to reposition the buoys, loaded with families, enters a channel that has been deliberately designed to kill them. The third case takes us inland, to the Devil's Divide in the San Joaquin Valley, flat, sweltering land locked in a 12-year feud between two powerful families, the kind of feud where everyone picks a side and nobody remembers what started it. Silas discovers the anomaly beneath the conflict. Someone has systematically altered county records to create what he calls phantom acreage, an 800-acre strip of land that exists on paper but belongs to no one. It's there in the filings, it's there on the plat maps, but when you walk the ground with a chain in transit, those 800 acres vanish like a mirage. The stakes cut deeper than land fraud. This phantom acreage has fueled a profitable 14-year business. Someone has been managing a fake dispute, keeping two families at each other's throats, because the feud itself generates legal fees, surveying contracts, and political leverage. Peace would be bad for business. And now two young lovers, one from each family, have discovered the truth. They've found the original Spanish land grant that proves the 800 acres never existed. And someone is willing to kill to keep that document buried. The staging is designed to break your heart before it breaks the case. Two lovers found dead on a blanket in the ash of a burned field. A forged suicide note beside them, written in hand-mixed gallnut ink. The kind of ink a surveyor would carry. The kind that takes skill and patience to prepare. The scene is arranged to look like a desperate romantic end. Two young people who couldn't bridge the divide between their warring families. But Silas reads the ground the way he reads a map. A fire was set on Tuesday, deliberately, methodically, to erase the footprints of a murder that happened on Wednesday. The killer burned the field first to create a blank canvas, then staged the bodies. It's meticulous, it's cold, and it's betrayed by one mistake. The burn's point of origin doesn't match the wind direction recorded in the county weather log. The hook is the question that drives the entire investigation. Can a boundary line drawn by a theodolite dismantle a county-wide corruption ring? Can a single, provably accurate survey line undo 14 years of manufactured hatred? Silas believes it can, because that's what surveyors do. They tell the truth about what's here. And the traverse doesn't stop. Book 4 takes Silas and Linus north-northwest, following the bearing of Silas Thorne's hidden markers, into the Cascade Range. Their destination, Silver Falls, Oregon, a territory where the wilderness is as unforgiving as the secrets buried within it. The coordinates they've been following point to someone unexpected, Harriet Lockwood, one of the first female licensed surveyors in the Western Territories. She is brilliant, guarded, and she maps land using an advanced technique that no one taught her. A technique that Silas recognizes, because it was recorded in only one place, his father's missing journals. Harriet Lockwood has the next piece of the ghost plate. And her very existence raises a question Silas isn't sure he's ready to answer. Who else did Elias trust with his work? Who else was part of a network Silas never knew existed? The mystery deepens, the traverse continues, and the ghost plate grows closer to completion. So why are readers joining the traverse? 3. These are intellectual cozies. Zero graphic gore, zero gratuitous violence. The thrill comes from brilliant, fair-play deductive puzzles built on real cartographic mechanics. If you love mysteries where the clues are all there, and the solution makes you say, of course, this series was written for you. Second, the chemistry between Silas and Linus is unmatched. This is a deep, respectful, found family brotherhood between a rigid surveyor who trusts only his instruments and a diplomatic gambler who trusts only his instincts. Their banter is sharp, their loyalty is unshakable, and watching them work a case together, one measuring the ground while the other measures the room, is the engine that drives every book. The historical atmosphere is rich and immersive. These aren't generic Old West backdrops. These are tactile, researched, 19th century frontier settings. From Sierra Nevada boomtowns built on rotated surveys, to Mendocino fog traps, engineered with displaced buoys. You can feel the dust, you can smell the ink, you can hear the chain dragging through the grass. Books 1 through 3 are available now on Amazon. A Compass for the Dead. The Meridian Murder. Each one a standalone mystery. Each one a new coordinate on the ghost plate. Each one an invitation to walk the traverse alongside Silas and Linus. Start anywhere. Start with the boomtown built on a 15-degree lie. Start with the fog-bound harbor where the buoys lead ships to their graves. Start with the Valley feud, manufactured over land that doesn't exist. Wherever you begin, you'll find the same thing waiting for you. A mystery that respects your intelligence, characters you'll want to spend time with, and a world where the most powerful weapon isn't a gun, it's a map. The truth is in the measurements, which is where the truth has always been. But measurements do not have voices. We do.